What's the war like in Vietnam? War is confrontation between two great powers, two opposing ideologies on the battlefield, which happens to be the little Republic of Vietnam. It started as a guerrilla war. It's now approaching the stages of a major war. We're here not because we're extremely good people, but because our interests, the interests of the free world which we head, are engaged, and because their interests are similarly engaged. We have no ambitions. We don't want Vietnam. And our job is to work ourselves out of a job. Our job is to support them until they are able to support themselves. To stop the spread of communism in this part of the world. And here we've drawn the line. Whether this is a place to have done it or not is now academic. We're here. And we're here to stay until they cease their aggression. Well, we back into these things. We got into this thing very slowly. And maybe in retrospect that was a mistake. And this is one of our great problems, one that worries me. We're committing ourselves piecemeal all over the world, and as far as I know, not a single Russian or Chinese soldier has been committed yet. But any other course would have meant abdication. And abdication is precisely what the communists want. So if our concepts of government and resorting to all the cliches, decency and the dignity of man mean anything, we've got to stand up for it. It's a war that nobody wants. It's a very hard thing for Americans to do, but Americans like to be liked, and a lot of people don't like us because of this.
Round off your last name when you come by me.
Okay, watch your head when you come through here.
You're supposed to be on the last boat.
Okay, go ahead.
Delta Company over there.
Split.
But there in that thing over there.
We have no choice. We're here, we're committed, and we're going to stay. We're not going to be defeated. We're not going to be driven out.
Sound off your last name. Fritz. Catch.
Watch your head.
Two.
Catch the rope.
Cook, sir.
I don't worry too much about getting shot, no, but something to think about, I guess.
Aruda. Keep moving, fellas. Keep moving.
Jones.
Harris. Catch the rope. Osborne.
Well, I wanted to go overseas someplace, but I didn't really want to come here.
Well, as a soldier, you have to be here, but as an individual, I don't like it.
Really?
No. I feel as though we should be at home as an individual.
Somebody had to come.
Joel.
Cumber. Firino.
A lot of people have said the U.S. should get out of Vietnam. What do you think?
I'm not the State Department. I don't know.
What do you think as a soldier?
As a soldier, I think we should stay
And why?
to help to stop the spread of communism.
What do you think about Vietnam? Is it so strange for an American to be fighting over there?
No, I don't think so. If they have communists trying to take over, I think we should fight anyway.
thought it was wet last night, but it's wetter today, I believe.
Well, I haven't seen the dry season yet. All I've seen is monsoon. So far, it's a little too wet for my blood.
It's a pretty country, I can say that much. But I sure like to be out here. I sure like to be back in the U.S. What I miss most, my family.
My wife and kids. I got 6 children.
I have it'll be 3 tomorrow, and 1 about a year and a half.
What did your wife say about your being out here?
Well, she's been an Army wife for 21 years, and she expected it, and she's used to it, and she takes it with a grin.
She just went back to the States just past 21st. She's back in North Carolina.
I think there's better places in the world than here. Oh, the people are nice enough. That is, the ones that smile at you. That's another way we can tell them. When they don't smile, you kind of figure they're the other way. Most of them are friendly, though.
You have to wait till they shoot around here, I guess.
I believe we're supposed to be here.
Why?
Well, I figure we ought to stop communism while it's away from home, instead of waiting until it gets there. And personally, I feel like I'm here because I want to keep my children from being here. It's a dirty kind of war. I don't think we got a fair shake having to fight people we don't know for sure are the enemy until they shoot at us. Well, they sure know who we are. That's about the only thing I don't like about it. This village over here yesterday, we checked it out, and every house in it has an underground tunnel. There's nobody there but the women and children. So we assume the whole village is unfriendly to us. We figure their husband will be VC and they'll be home at night. Nothing we can do about it, because we don't know. Yeah, it's like no other war I've ever heard of. One of these days we'll all get to go home.
This is the village of My Thuy, which is a small village not too far from Saigon, at the edge of the Mekong Delta. It's probably got 2,000 inhabitants, like most of the small villages in Vietnam. There are about 12,000 such units in this country. And its population is mostly Buddhist. There's no Catholic church here. And it grows, like many of the villages do here, rice, sugar cane, and coconuts from the coconut palms. To these people, there's a permanent background of war. Right down the road, there's a small garrison, maybe 10, 15 men of the local provincial guard. They're supposed to keep law and order in the area. I guess they can't do it during the daytime, certainly not during the night. If they're unlucky, they are in the midst of a combat operation. You have a armored column going through, or they're being strafed, or even napalm that is bombed with jelly gasoline. Of course, things get a great deal tougher. The war is being fought for what is called the freedom of Vietnam, or as has been recently said by President Johnson and by the American Secretary of State, Dean Rusk, it's been fought for the right of South Vietnam to decide freely as to the kind of government it will have. It is obviously very true that if the communist-led Viet Cong were to win the war tomorrow, the Vietnamese would have no choice but to have a communist-dominated government. and no doubt followed within a very brief period by a reunified government of Vietnam under the leadership of the communist leader in North Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh.
To the Vietnamese peasant, the war means a total disturbance of his way of life. He's being shelled by one side or bombed, or he's being resettled in villages. He's been very often resettled 3 or 4 times in different villages. He is being taxed by both sides, and now the communist taxes are extremely heavy. The communist taxes now run about 10 times the government taxes, and the peasant must pay. He very often must contribute labor for free to both sides. A communist cadre may come in the middle of the night and order him to dig up a piece of road, and 6 hours later government troops will come by and order him to close the gap that he himself has dug during the past night. So the life of the Vietnamese peasant in this particular period is not a terribly pleasant one. I wonder whether anybody really bothers about the mind of the peasant. You know, the phrase, the hearts and minds of the people of Vietnam is being reused and overused by both sides for that matter. In actual fact, the Vietnamese peasant simply seeks to till his land and, if possible, send his children to school, and he likes to do that. This is something that's very important to him. The propaganda level on both sides is in fact very misleading when directed to the peasant. Obviously on the Vietnamese government side, the peasant is always being promised a just land reform. Yet he has seen at least 5 land reforms ever since 1952 when the French started the first land reform, and all of them turned out to be more or less phony. On the communist side, he has also been promised a better life along with land reform. Well, the communist land reform was carried out, but along with it came extremely heavy taxation. So he's still just as badly off as before. We can't speak of ideology at the rice roots level. The peasant doesn't go for ideology, the peasant goes for social justice. He wants his piece of land, and he wants a fair taxation system. He doesn't want to be grafted upon by corrupt government officials. He doesn't want to be robbed by the army. He doesn't want to be beaten up. Neither does he want, by the way, to be tortured by the VC or constantly dragged to nighttime lectures on some rather abstract subjects. He wants to be basically left alone. And the governor will provide him with the feeling of being pretty much left master of his own little destiny. Will probably get the support of the peasantry in the long run. The peasant is still the great issue in the whole thing. He represents 85% of the Vietnamese population. Without him or against him, you can't carry on a policy. Not in the long run, you can't. And the Vietnamese are wonderful people. They're patient. They're the patience of a people that still carries on, actually, its life as it does. Cultivating crops that are going to be plowed under by tanks or are going to be taken away by communist cadres to feed troops, and still doing it year after year and still being friendly and still trying to remain what they are. In other words, they're very strong people with all their weaknesses and their very obvious present disarray. The country, after all, is completely torn apart. The society is completely atomized. There is no longer any such thing as a stable Vietnamese society anywhere. But yet, when you see them, when you see even a small peasant family out in their houses, there they are carrying on their way of life as much as they can. Their crops get destroyed, it won't stop them. They'll go back to grow another crop. They'll starve in the meantime. So you can't really help but admire such a people or such a country. It has been said that if the United States and if the West, as a way of life, did not stand up for what is called freedom in Vietnam, that other countries might lose heart. To which one may only answer respectfully that there are probably millions of Vietnamese peasants who look at the shambles of their own surroundings and probably feel that this kind of freedom is being bought pretty dearly, and it's being bought at their expense.
Well, we can end the war, ask the Americans to leave tomorrow. Suppose we could do that. What will happen? The Red China will move in, the puppets in North Vietnam will move in. Maybe at first they have something, National Liberation Front or some other such organization, and a different flag, other things, as a preliminary stage. And then next will be communist regime, and then you have peace, because everybody will have to be quiet under the communist and well-controlled regime. But this is not, I don't think this is not what the peace that most people want. Of course, anybody who's being bombed is resent, those who bombed them. But I think that the United States and the government of Vietnam has made a conscious effort to devise programs to warn the people in the areas that they're going to bomb to leave these areas before they get bombed. And also, you cannot hide the fact also that any war is hideous, but the Americans, by their individual generosity, and they're not, this is not being programmed or anything, but Americans have been quite kind to the peasants. Some of them have taken trouble to and went out of their ways at times to help the villages and the peasants. So these multiplied by the thousands got around, and our villages got to know that Americans don't mean to kill people.
radio into, they just pull you out of there.
I think the women are too fast for us boys here.
Too fat?
Fast.
I don't have any opinion. I'm married. To me, I'd rather have a round-eyed girl back in the States. I just look at them. I love them myself.
When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. When you've got worries, all the noise and the hurry seems to help, I know. Downtown, just listen to the music of the traffic in the city. Linger on the sidewalk where the neon signs are pretty. How can you lose? The lights are much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares. So go downtown. Things will be great when you're downtown. No finer place for sure. Downtown, everything's waiting for you. Don't hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows downtown. Maybe you know some little places to go to where they never close. Downtown, just listen to the rhythm of the gentle bossa nova. You'll be dancing with them too before the night is over. Happy again. The lights are much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares. So go downtown, where all the lights are bright. Downtown, waiting for you tonight. Downtown, you're gonna be alright now.
We like Americans very much. We like it. They're very kind to us. So we need the Americans to help us to stay here and don't let the VC come into Saigon. It's very bad because the VC, they're very mean to us. I told you we are very happy because the Americans, they help us when I like it. They stay here and have a smile.
Somebody kind to help and understand you. Someone who is just like you and needs a gentle hand to guide them along. So maybe I'll see you there. We can forget all our troubles, forget all our cares. So go downtown. Things will be great when you're downtown. Don't wait a minute more. Downtown, everything's waiting for you.
The war in Vietnam is kind of hard to explain from my viewpoint. I'm down here doing a job because I'm in the Marine Corps and people said the United States would send Marines over here and have them help the ARVNs and popular forces fight the war down here. That's my job.
Main reason I joined, I didn't have nothing to do when I got out of school. Didn't feel like going to work, so I came in the Marine Corps.
I like what's happening down in LA, all these riots happening. They want to fight, send them down here and let them fight over here. I'm peace loving, let me go back in the States. I can handle myself and stay out of trouble. That's what I feel about it. I don't like to kill anybody. I haven't yet, I don't think. But that's going to be his life against mine. And I want to live, I want to get back to the States. It's like going on patrols at the middle of the noon where it's hot. It's about 120, 130 degrees. You out there sweating, you tired, and all you thinking, if I see a VC right now, I don't need this rifle. I can kill him with my bare hands. Just being here. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. We'd be in the States, having fun, going on liberty. What we doing? Staying over here 30 days out in the field, eating sea rations, dirty, want to take a shower, get clean. But you always got to go out there, find a VC, and walk through their rice paddies and falling all down That's not the life. For me, that is.
I look at it this way. I'm not really old enough to vote or do anything, but reading from past history of the United States and their history, they've been doing okay, and I'll go along with anything they have to do.
We are trained killers. We're professional killers. And we're here to do a job, and we'll do it to the best of our ability. Okay, but a point man, he's got to kind of think for himself. You see somebody run, he's running from something. We have to shoot if he's not a Viet Cong. Well, sorry about that, you know. I treat people nice, but as long as they treat me nice. It's a funny war. It's really a funny war. But I think the United States is doing a good job here.
You're helping them get rid of the VC and stop communism. And you have to stop communism someplace.
The only thing I really hate about the war down here is you never know who's shooting at you. You very seldom see a person shooting at you. You don't know if a person is just an ordinary villager or if he's a Vietnamese communist. He can shoot a couple rounds at you, hide his weapon, and walk in the open and have an ID card. Search him, don't find out, and you let him go. Next day, he'll be back shooting at you again.
Yeah, you copy it, gun in the rear. Yeah, let's go in the rear on the right flank.
Delta 3, this is Delta 3 Alpha, over.
I know, I seen that guy over there. He was hiding in the bushes. I wasn't too sure.
This is Delta 3 Alpha, say again your pass, over. Delta 3, this is Delta 3 Alpha, that's Charlie.
Hey, what's the back flat? Move away! Get away from there, hold it up, okay. Move up formation again. Press move out.
This is Delta 3 Alpha, that's Charlie.
Get away from the cars, Billy! Get away from there, Kelly! Okay, what's up with it? Get behind the three cars. Let's see if you see that guy. Now we got the green smoke. Cease fire. Now we got green smoke.
Delta 3, this is Delta 3 Alpha.
Wait till Kelly come back before you move out.
VC. Now, what is the VC? It is quite clear that many of the political cadres are North Vietnamese trained. But unfortunately for the West, the movement does have a popular base, and this is why, for the time being, it's still holding out. Surely, it can be defeated militarily, but these people fight, and they fight extremely effectively. No, the VC can't be all wiped out, but the VC can be reduced physically to the point where it no longer becomes a military danger.
Don't kill him, huh? I gotta turn him over alive. Hang Sailor, alive.
The two dead ones and the one with the black shorts on were caught in an ambush by one of my fire teams. They were down along a trail in tie-in 2. They set in along the side of a trail, waiting for the VC, which normally move early morning before light or at night right after sunset.
Two dead VC? Tail, I got the camera.
Okay.
Người bắn mày đó. Thằng kia đâu? Người bắn mày đó.
Basically, what's happening in Vietnam is that the Viet Cong simply administers a great deal of Vietnam. It administers effectively a good part of the population. So the farmer is literally caught in the middle. But it is a peasant war. It is fought by peasants, and when all has been said and done, one will have to remember that we have had here on one side 150,000 peasants supported by North Vietnamese specialists or cadres who have literally pushed the greatest power on earth, the United States, to partial mobilization, to defeat them. And suppose the Russians find that this might be a wonderful way of dissipating American military strength by literally dragging the United States in a whole series of such wars, each one involving 100,000 Americans and $3 billion. I like to think that the United States and South Vietnam, the non-communist government of South Vietnam, have learned a few lessons from the past. One cannot always go out and simply and purely throw troops into any situation where there will be a social revolution, or there will be even for that matter, an outside-guided communist revolution. I've heard officers say, well, so we zapped, the word zap means kill here, so we zapped the whole village. Well, it hurt me a little bit, but what the heck, there are communists in it and we've got to do it, and that's it. Well, this sort of rationale is, of course, is a respectable rationale for a fighting man. But how long can you keep on doing it? How many villages can you zap? Now, these are not sins of commission, but sins of omission. The failure to recognize that the Vietnamese farmer wanted something that was important to him. That land reform, not 10 years from now, but now, was an important issue. That elections, that people actually did believe in decent government. Underdevelopment does not mean that people don't want things that are right. If the free world government, whatever it may be at the time, fails to make the proper reforms, then of course it'll feed automatically the subversive opposition, which always exists in any undeveloped country where the parliamentary system hasn't taken root. Now, whether the United States, by making the war militarily unlosable, will also succeed in deriving the political benefits she seeks to derive from that kind of military victory, now that is a big question. It's a question for which there is no simple answer.
Here in the Delta, the tide has turned in our favor. When I came here in January '64, we controlled 6% of the ground. Now it's 42%. I think the proportion of those who are on our side is growing for the simple reason that we are able to destroy the myth of Viet Cong invincibility. The presence of the Viet Cong, I say again, particularly since we have the air power we have now, means eventual destruction.
1
But one of their big problems here is that the Viet Cong systematically, and this I mean systematically, assassinate about 1,500 local officials up to the rank of province chief each year. The VC are now drafting, and their draft is very hard. Men up to the age of 35. There's a fishing village in BC country that we know of where they send their men out to sea to sleep in their boats at night to avoid this draft, and I use the word draft in quotation marks. The taxes are so oppressive that families are going hungry. I'm not saying that our people are paragons of virtue, of course they're not. This is a cruel war on both sides. And we are winning down here. The Vietnamese, numerically, are fighting at, I would say, there are 3 Vietnamese for every 1 American. So the tide turned down here strictly through the efforts of the Vietnamese, because we've got a good Corps commander, because we have good units down here. The 42nd and the 44th Rangers are as good as anything I've ever seen. They're as good as the U.S. Marines. These little boys live on the march. They're tough. They fight, and the VC try to avoid tangling with them wherever they can. So the war down here, the tide was turned by the Vietnamese down here. A good commander, good leadership, maturity, training, morale, all of these factors. There's nothing succeeds like success, and after a couple of good sound victories, they were the cock of the walk. They believed in themselves, and nobody could beat them. When you believe nobody can beat you, it's sometimes hard for people to do that. About it. A year ago, it would have been worth a farmer's life to be seen talking to a government trooper. Now they come tell us that the VC have moved into Toy Bend, because they know if the VC stay there, eventually they're going to get slugged from the air.
Okay, we're inbound to the target now. We're down in 4 Corps. We'll be approximately about 35 miles south of Can Tho, down near Camau in the southern Camau Peninsula of South Vietnam. And we're going to make a strike of 4 Sky Raiders. That's 4 ex-Navy aircraft, which we use in the 602nd Air Commando Squadron. I'm flying formation at the present time, so I am forced to look away occasionally. The Sky Raider is an outstanding aircraft. We use it within the 602nd Air Commando Squadron because it carries so much ordnance. Each aircraft we carry normally 6,000 pounds of bombs, and it's absolutely outstanding. Today you will see bombs and napalm in that two of our aircraft, lead and number 2, are carrying bombs. We'll have 500-pound bombs and 250-pound general-purpose bombs, and 3 and 4 will have napalm, so it should be fairly exciting. We should see a little ground fire and a lot of napalm burning and maybe even some Victor Charlie. We hope today we'll find some VC, but you never know. We're waiting for the forward air controller to check in. He will describe the target for us, and we'll tell him what our ordnance is and so forth.
Beaver 2-3, Bull Moose, over. Roger, go ahead. We've had some reconnaissance by Viking down there. We're asking them to go back in and mark specific positions and lines of positions. They've encountered some bunkers about 40 meters south of the river at various places, but we'll try to get them smoke and tell you what it is. Over.
Oh, we got a good target today.
Copy that. The positions are trying to find exactly where they are on Zulu 3, but basically they're right along the southern edge of the heavy mangrove on the south of the river, and we want to be sure to concentrate on that strip with all our strikes. Over.
Roger. Where is the mangrove by the patties there, or he's talking about the mangrove on the river side of the road?
No, he's talking about the edge as it goes into the patties. Once they get a little clearer on it, I'll be able to mark it for you. He's talking about the tree line edge as it goes out into the rice paddies. This is where these people put all these damn emplacements.
Okay, he should be about ready to roll in now. There he goes. Okay, follow his bomb. Okay, his bomb. There's him come up. Okay, they should hit now. Okay, look out to the right now. Okay, right down there. Okay, napalm now. There it goes. Ah, look at it burn. Look at it burn.
Okay, now that tree line you hit on is going generally north and south. Down on the southern edge of it, there's another one that runs off perpendicular, generally east and west, and that's the one where I'd like to lay the napalm.
Okay, we got more napalm coming down here.
That was a little short of the tree line, but that's in another tree line, so no problem. Have you got strafe left, Jink?
Roger, we'll make 2 strafe passes for you.
Roger that. Move on in.
Okay. See, I'm going very low now to avoid the gunfire. Okay, now I'll pull up just short of the tree line. Up we go. Yeah, we got him.
Okay, good hits, real fine.
That was an outstanding target, all right? We bombed first of all, and we could see the people running everywhere. It was fantastic. It's very, very seldom that we see Victor Charlie run like that. When they do, we know we got him. If we can keep him on the runway, we know we're going to really hose him down. Okay, we bombed first of all, and then we beat up the area, and that's when they started to run. Okay, then the napalmers come across, and we strafed immediately in front of them, see, to keep their heads down. We were receiving heavy ground fire. You can see the tracer bullets coming up past us. Fantastic, and we really made them run. That's outstanding, because when they get out of their trenches in the open, we can really hit them, and that's what we like to do. That's what we're here for, and boy, it's outstanding to really catch them out in the open. We don't do that very often.
Were you dead on target?
Oh, absolutely.
You think you got them?
Oh, didn't we get them? Couldn't you see them run down there? Man, I know we got them. We could, I've got 4 20-millimeter cannons you can see out here, and we really hosed them down. By Joe, that's great fun. I really like to do that.
Weren't you kind of getting a little bit low with the rice paddy?
Okay, what happens when you get ground fire like that, if you press right down in them, you're going to be more effective with, I'll be more effective with my own guns, and also I can hit them much easier, and it scares them. See, when I press right down into them, now then if I pull off, and then up immediately, let's say 300 to 400 feet, then I'm a number one target. They're going to shoot my ass off, and yours too for that matter. The Army will go in this afternoon with helicopters and have a look around. They'll probably have to fight their way in because you can't ever get them all out of the bunkers. So it should be fairly exciting. I really wish I could go in on a clearance search immediately after one of our airstrikes, just to see, really how effective they are. They really praise us for these big bombs, and the napalm especially. They really like that napalm because when they get there, the ones that the napalm hasn't burned up, the VC are just addled because of these big bombs. You see, it breaks their eardrums and makes them kind of senseless. But I'd really like to go in on a ground party in an area after an A-1E strike, because boy, we put a lot of ordnance on target, and I would really like to see how effective it is.
He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His truth is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with the glory in his bosom that transfigured you and me. As he died to make man holy, let us die to make him free. Why